Been up to anything fun this weekend?
Yeah. Like I said, parents were down the entire weekend, so I've been hanging out with them. Went and grabbed some dinner. We're just hanging out, having a gale time. It was raining like crazy yesterday,
Yeah, yeah, it was.
which sucked. We were going to go to that Purdue game, but it was so cold and so rainy. We just we're just like, it's not worth it. So we didn't, and it wasn't because we lost by like 24 points, anyways.
Oh, Jesus,
So,
really?
well, yeah, we were playing Illinois, and they're a pretty good team. So I wasn't expecting us to win, but it wasn't. It also wasn't worth it to be there just because it was rainy and cold.
Yeah.
So
So, real quick, while we're right at the start. So I have it tagged right now as jazz. Do you think there should be anything else added to that? The options are
that's probably the most pertinent.
because the other ones are not, because it's like blues, classical, country, electronic, hip hop, pop, R&B, rock, and world.
Maybe R&B as well
So,
might
yeah,
be accurate.
I'll slap that
I
on
would be
there too.
against that.
Okay. So I notice you were playing video games before you hopped on to talk.
Wait, which video game?
It said you were playing uh something.
Oh yeah, the Danganronpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that on before I was playing it. And then I realized that we are going to go on live soon. So I'm like, oh shit, I need to eat. So I left and made some food, and I had
Ah,
left it on. And then I came back. I'm like,
so there nothing came up. It was just poor time management skills.
yes, it was poor time management. In my defense, mom and dad have been here all weekend, so
Yeah.
I've been kind of thrown off the clock. But it is a fun game so far.
Isn't it really old?
I don't think it's super old. I can check the store page. It says it came out in 2016.
Uh, okay.
It may have just been released on Steam in 2016, but
2016. Maybe. I mean, that's almost 4 years ago at this point. So, which is weird
oh
to
yeah, I
think
guess it
about.
is almost 4 years. Yeah, time flies.
What was I doing? I was texting. That's what I was doing. So, do anything fun with your parents?
Yeah, like I said, we went out to Mountain Jacks.
Oh, that's where your company always takes you, right?
Yeah, it's a very good steakhouse, and just a little congratulatory thing since I got the job offer. They wanted to treat me.
At the same place your company takes you.
Yeah, hey, it's a really good place. I requested it, so yeah. Then we hung out and played some board games last night, and then
Sounds
they
nice.
left today.
It took me longer to listen to this album than I would care to admit, since I started watching Seven Deadly Sins yesterday, and I have been through 2 seasons already.
Goodness, a good show then.
Yeah, I really like it. I
Hasn't Matt seen that one?
huh?
Hasn't Matt seen that one?
He's seen everyone. Um,
I guess that's one way to put it.
but I got to go with the momentum and finish it because that's what it was for My Hero Academia. And then I can't remember, I stopped for some reason and then I just couldn't start again. So I got to go with the momentum and do it all at once, otherwise I have trouble coming back.
Okay, I get you.
Because it's like what I did with JoJo. Because like I had seen all of 1, I had seen all of 2, and I hadn't seen all of 3. So then I came back and I watched all of 2, and then 3 again from the beginning. So,
At least two's good. So
well, yeah. Personally, it's probably my
very
favorite so
enjoyable.
far. But, well, I would maybe not favorite, but I really like it.
It's very enjoyable.
Yeah. Oh, Matt's in the chat. You can ask him if he's seen Seven Deadly Sins.
I imagine that he has. I'm pretty sure he's mentioned it to me before.
I think he has the manga too, if I'm not mistaken. I think
Maybe
right,
that's
Matt?
what I'm thinking of.
Well, I'm sure he's watched it too.
Oh, there we go.
And it's produced by Netflix, right, Matt? Or is Netflix just claiming to have produced it and is releasing it slowly on Netflix? And it's actually like on Crunchyroll and stuff. Because season 4 is coming up, I think. or at least 2020 is what I read when I was looking it up, because originally I was watching it and I was like, oh, it's a little 24 episode thing, and because I hit the end, you know, but then there was a lot of like plot lines that had it's only Netflix. They don't do any of the work for any of it, Matt. They just provide the cash. But I hit the end of season 1 and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of plot lines. Like, I remember there was that movie that we had watched at one point, I can't remember. That was 7 Deadly Sins. And I was like, are these lined up in the movie or something? And then it said starting next episode. I'm like, oh no, this is a big rabbit hole. So I checked and there's 3 seasons.
Oh, there, and you're like, well, I'm already in for it. So
yeah. Okay. Already started in Japan. March. I don't know if I can wait that long. Because I really enjoy it, so.
Well, I guess you'll have to wait. You don't really have a choice, do you?
Season 2 is 4 episodes long. I'm not sure why that was a separate season. Was season 2 when the movie came out, Matt? Technically. Theoretically takes place during then. It was a bit of a lag, so we'll have to wait for him to respond. Oh, the movie's probably not canon. You're probably right. Just like, what is it, Hunter x Hunter in the Dark Nen movie.
I don't think Dark Nen is canon.
I didn't see that one, though, because that was
Evil Energy.
That was when I was going home. And I stayed for one movie, and you guys were like, oh, stay for the second. And it was already like 11 p.m., and I was like, I have to drive an hour.
So you can watch 160 episodes of anime, but that extra hour and a half.
I was going home. I told my parents I was going to be home, and they were waiting up for me. So.
Well, now you'll never know what Dark Nan is.
I can just watch it at some point.
Nah, don't. It's not very good.
Okay, I won't.
It's better than the other movie, at least.
Really? Well, that was the one I did see, so.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what that one was about.
It had the puppet guy, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I very dimly remember that movie.
Kind of burnt out by the end.
Yeah. It was all right. I need to finish reading. I have up to 9 of the manga, but I only it's my fallback reading, you know, because I could read those last 2 in probably half an hour if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I want to savor them, you know.
Let it keep going. I mean, the guy who writes them is certainly taking his time. So
I know.
you got plenty of time to read them.
Did I tell you about this? I stumbled upon the Hunter x Hunter subreddit the other day or something like that. And there was an image showing his hiatus periods over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And it starts off it was chapters, so not the whole book, right? It was just a single. How long it takes them to write a single chapter.
Chapters they release.
So in the beginning, it's very blue, and within the past 2 years, it's so much red. Past 4 years, it's just tons and tons and tons of red.
I think I remember reading somewhere that the guy had health issues or something. So,
does he have health issues, or is it just because he lives like a slob? And I'm sorry, maybe. I read fast, Matt. I
maybe a combination.
Read extremely fast.
You're just mad, Matt, that Sam's got that big brain.
It's not even a big brain. It's just I read way too fast. It doesn't help that I've watched these episodes multiple times, so I know what it is. At this point in the manga, at least, there's not too much that's different.
Well, let's just say once you get past the manga, you're gonna have to slow down because things get dense.
I hope. And there was quite the.
I mean, it's great stuff, but you're oh, there's so you have to take out your notepad. You're like, oh man, is this gonna be on the exam? All these obscure nin abilities. There's 20 of them.
I mean, that's what it feels like watching 7 Deadly Sins. It feels like just there's no rules. Yeah, I'll finish JoJo at some point. I started with another anime. It'll get me back into it. It was just going from the back of part 3 into part 4 when the animation style changes really took me out of it.
It is rather abrupt, but I think it fits the part better.
Maybe, but going from watching these giant barn door sized men wail on each other to the derpiest looking Star Platinum in the world just kind of.
He's softer. He's grown up. He's a marine biologist.
Hmm.
Yeah, but anyways, you want to get into this week's album?
Sure.
Since we get it started a little bit late. Sorry about that, guys. I was grabbing dinner.
You're playing video games, and then you
Well,
noticed you were
I'm
going to
playing,
start.
and then I noticed it's like 8:50. I'm like, oh, I gotta eat. Oh no.
Not even 8:50, 7:50.
Oh, whatever. That's what I meant. But yeah, we can jump right into it. Into "Emergency on Planet Earth" by Jamiroquai.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a nice little album. So this was my recommendation for the week. I've listened to a little bit of Jamiroquai on and off again throughout my years, but never really sat down and listened through all their albums. So figure let's start right here at album number 1, their debut. What about you, Sam? You have any familiarity with Jamiroquai?
I after listening to this album, I feel like my parents might have played it when I was younger, because this is like, I swear I've heard some of this before. But I also know them for, of course, their most popular song, "Virtual Insanity." And
Yeah.
I'm not alone in this. Matt said in chat that he swore that the lead singer of this group was a woman also.
It is actually a full-blown man.
Well,
All
he
male.
doesn't sound like it. He sounds like a woman.
It's because he can hit those high notes.
It's not just
Higher
that. It's
higher
also because Steven Tyler can hit high notes, but you can tell it's a dude. With this guy, he's got a much more feminine voice.
Androgynous quality, you would say.
He doesn't sound like a dude. He sounds like a woman.
Well, it is a man. His name's J.K.
I saw the pictures.
He looks like a man too. But yeah, so like Sam was saying, this is Jamiroquai, which in case you didn't pick up, their name is a mixture of the word jam and the Native American tribe, the Iroquois tribe. I guess because they got some like natural kind of vibes in their songs, kind of themes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a British band. They're formed around their frontman J.K. Yes, he is a man. They were formed back in London back in 1992. And for the genres they touch on, they got pretty interesting stuff. They're kind of more acid jazz, kind of a funk R&B conglomeration.
Acid jazz.
Acid jazz.
I feel like you can just kind of say whatever you want and people will accept it.
Oh, no. Acid jazz is it's like a new, it's like a modern jazz take, right? With it kind of has that funk and groove distilled within it.
Is it? This is from 1993, Cooper.
Yeah, that's pretty modern in terms of like jazz music.
Okay, you got a good point.
I mean, I guess recently we've been reviewing albums from 2006 or 2008. So we're really bringing it back here with 1992.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of music I would listen to when I was a kid, though. So
yeah, it's
because my parents didn't want to listen to anything else.
And they're listening to Jamiroquai. I think that's good taste. But they've had 8 albums so far since they've released this one in 1993. All of them charting in the UK top 10, and they've got a myriad of people they've influenced, or people who have cited them as influenced, including but not limited to Tyler the Creator, Chance the Rapper, Pharrell Williams, Anderson .Paak, SZA, Kamal Williams, and Calvin Harris. And some of those are some of my favorite artists.
I've heard one of those artists, and I know 3 of the names. That's it.
Well, they are all... I can't say too much about Kamal Williams and Calvin Harris. I'm not as familiar with their work, but the other ones, they make some good music. So some good protege to have in terms of influences. And then, of course, they're probably most famous for their Virtual Insanity single, plus their music video. That was their big break. But that's not on this album, since this is their debut album. And JK wrote all the songs on this album. It charted #1 in the UK. And it's got carries kind of, there's no story or particular overarching plot, but it's kind of got a general theme of world issues and self-consciousness. Though you care kind of less about the lyrics and more about JK's angelic vocals.
Yeah, and just to clarify, he is saying JAY space KAY. That is the guy's name.
Not JK like just joking.
Or like JK Simmons or something like that.
Yeah, it's a JK, which I forget what it's short for. I think it's because he has an actual That's not like his born name.
Jonathan
Is there-
Conathan.
Jonathan Conathan. No, it's Jason Chetham.
Okay.
So
it's a
I guess you
stage
take
name.
the J from Jason and the Ch from Chetham. You make JK.
I wouldn't say that ch and K make the same noise.
Well, Jake Ch doesn't have their same ring.
It doesn't really flow.
But yeah, we can jump right into this album with track number 1. When You Gonna Learn? Parentheses didgeridoo.
Now, Cooper, you added that. That is on the Spotify album. There is no parentheses didgeridoo. That might be what it says on the Wikipedia page, but as we know, anyone can edit the Wikipedia page, but not anyone can edit the Spotify.
That is true. So I guess maybe their official release. Though that was the deluxe version on Spotify.
True, that's a good point.
Though there is no doubt that this song does include, in fact, a didgeridoo.
And it just hits you right out the door, too. There's
this is
no
not
punches
subtle.
pulled in this.
This album opens on a didgeridoo. How many people do that?
And not a fade in. It just full out right out of the gate.
Australian woodwinds.
Like I read, because it doesn't say it on Spotify, right? And I read it on our little Google Doc thing we had. I'm like, oh, didgeridoo, okay. So I was prepared going into it, and it still caught me off guard.
Yeah, because there's some eclectic sounds in this album.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's not classic jazz in the classic jazz sense. It's kind of a more modern take where you can kind of play around with it. So of course you get some didgeridoo, and it won't be the last time on the album. But it quickly goes away. It's not too much didgeridoo.
No, at least not in this first song. And I know I said he sounds like a woman, but listening very carefully now that I know he's a dude, I can hear it a little bit, but just barely.
Well, it's not necessarily a negative thing.
No, it's just I had never looked him up. I just formed.
He definitely doesn't look like the way he sounds.
No, he did not. That's why I thought you were pulling my leg when you first showed me the picture.
No, but that's him, and he's got a nice set of vocals.
Mm-hmm.
JK, he's smooth. It's like butter.
Oh yeah,
right, going right over you. And he might be one of the best singers that we reviewed on the show so far.
I don't know.
Certainly,
Jeff Lynne's up there.
Jeff Lynne's good. Panic at the Disco is great as well.
Well, not the album
when he uses it. When he uses it. But yeah, I'd admit JK's pretty smooth.
He is pretty smooth, and
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just said I think his vocals lend particularly well to the kind of R&B funk genre.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say the same thing, and I think the funk bass really helps with his style. And throughout this album, it was kind of, they kept throwing things at you that you were thought like, there's no way that this is gonna all work together, and it does perfectly throughout the entire album. And what is it? There wasn't too much crazy in this beginning. The didgeridoo kind of comes in and drops out pretty quick. That would just kind of get your attention.
It's like a 20-second snippet.
Yeah, exactly.
Before.
But this first song is just all funk, pretty much.
And it's funk central.
It's got the really heavy funk bass that's prominent throughout the entire album, and
which I love.
It feels great the whole way. And then right at the end, it's got that nice sax coming in too. And the one thing that really stuck out to me listening to this first song is how well out of the gate they come. It's not a particularly long song, but throughout the song, it's building and adding things. A proper building song to the end. Throwing in new things to the mix to keep it fresh, and it stays really nice all the way through. And I don't know, there's just something in the first half of the song that I was like, man, you can really tell that this came out in the 90s, I'm not sure what it was.
Like the sound quality wise? Or?
No, not quality, because this was the remaster version, but just the style of the song, This is where I was getting the feeling like, I swear I've heard this before, because it reminded me of when I was a kid.
It does have a very, I wouldn't say, kind of a 90s kind of upbeat energy,
yeah.
Right?
Well, later on, there's some very 90s things in this album.
They do. This was from 1993, and they embraced that.
Yeah, there's some things in this that you're like, why the heck did they do that? Oh yeah, this is from the 90s. Okay, yeah, now
they had to. It was like legal.
This is required by contract. Anyone who's writing
you have to have record scratches if you're from the early 1990s.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one has like you said, the groovy bass. It's got this punchy brass going.
Oh yeah.
It's got like strings. I think like a violin, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to catch exactly what kind of string. And then this like kind of jazz flute flies in underneath as well. So they really for their debut song, their debut album. This is sounds like a fully formed band that knows what they're all about.
Yeah, I absolutely love the brass. Not only this song, but throughout the whole album. It has been a hot second since we listened to a song that didn't just have synth brass. So this is really
the
nice.
real stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course they you know you had to do it to them. They had a little didgeridoo solo in the middle of the song,
Mm-hmm.
which that cuts through. You know when a didgeridoo is on display.
Didgeridoo doesn't blend with other instruments that aren't didgeridoos very well.
But honestly, it doesn't overstay its welcome too much.
Mm-mm.
It adds a little flavor. It was only didgeridoo, but of course, who would make a song with only didgeridoo in it?
I can't imagine anyone ever doing that.
But yeah, it's a very, very strong start to an album.
For sure, yeah. And it's not the title song either, which...
No, we've had a couple of those. Now this one's just when you gonna learn, and I guess it's got like general themes of like greed is bad and that we gotta protect the world and stuff like that.
Well, the title of the album is Emergency on Planet Earth.
Emergency on Planet Earth is what they're referring to.
Yeah. Very, very political album.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like political. But like, if you weren't listening for it, that could just like completely fly under your radar.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just like, oh, okay, it's nice. It's nice funk.
Jump into track number 2 then, if you're ready, Coop.
I am.
Too Young to Die.
Too Young to Die. So this one starts off this kind of nice string quartet kind of thing, solo going on, which is a very smooth wave going into. And then of course the funky bass is thrown in, and the song takes off again. And this one's, I guess, about like politicians needing to keep their distance because the young people are here, and they're too young to die.
Contrary to Only the Good Die Young.
Yes, here they're too young to die.
So at what stage does the Only the Good Die Young overpower the Too Young to Die? I wonder.
I guess it depends how young you are, and how good you are.
Yeah,
it's the sort of it's probably like a quadratic relationship or something.
You have to be so bad so that you aren't good, so you don't die young.
But become good as you become old, so that you live longer.
Yes, because only the good die young.
Your goodness should be inverse to your youngness to maximize life.
Jumping back to the song.
Oh yeah. But this song has a banging chorus. It's got these do's that are like thrown all over the place with J.K. smooth vocals with this paired with like this brass combo. Whew. It's electrifying.
Yeah. Like you were saying, the straight into it with the strings was kind of caught me off guard actually, just because there was already so much variety this early into the album. Granted, the first song started with a didgeridoo, so you can't really do that again. But just the change in style between the two felt pretty drastic, even though they were still very similar in style. And I was praising the brass again and not being synth brass, and then at 45 seconds a synth comes in and it provides a really nice kind of ethereal feeling over the top of it. And they kind of bring the synth back every once in a while throughout the songs in a very well maintained way, I feel.
Yeah, they don't over rely on it.
No.
But when it comes in, you appreciate its presence.
Mm-hmm. And this one, sorry, go ahead.
Which may just be a product of the times, right? Early 90s. You don't exactly have computer drum pads and such.
Yeah.
That can make synthing a lot easier.
Yeah. But I was going to say, this one, it kind of felt like it was swapping back and forth between them wanting you to listen to the lyrics for the substance and just adding to the feel of the song. I don't know why I got that feeling. It just felt like it was kind of bouncing back and forth.
I would agree. I mean, like, it's not like the chorus is saying anything too revolutionary.
Yeah. But then, the premise of the song is quite dark for how upbeat it is.
Which is, it's a little bit of a reoccurring theme. Even their most their most famous song, right, Virtual Insanity, is basically all about how the future is going to be a complete bleak like dystopia where technology just removes everyone from like being able to interact. Luckily, they didn't predict that at all. Uh, but yeah, so Jamiroquai songs sometimes have these little ominous messages underneath these really upbeat jazz fusion songs.
Yeah, we should do another one of ELO's albums that's a bit like that too.
Oh, which one's that? Power?
No, we're not listening to Bop.
That one makes me feel sad.
yeah, I'll second that. Alone in the Universe.
Oh yeah.
Remember when I played that song for the first time for you guys? I'm like, oh man, this is a great song. You guys are like, man, this is really depressing.
Old man grapples with the death. Man, yeah. I love Yellow, Mr. Blue Sky.
But yeah, I mean, this song is fantastic. It surprised me quite a bit when he dropped out and the trumpet and synth solos came in, and they kind of went against. Granted, I had only heard one song of this before, but it went against the preconceived notion I had really of the band. But it fantastic. It makes me think of them more as a jazz funk band than a lyrical band, you know?
Yeah, because if you just thought Jamiroquai as, from their singles, like, okay, this is JK hour with the boys in the back. But they really utilize kind of like with normal jazz where they really just let things breathe, right?
Oh, yeah.
JK will take like a 3-minute smoke break in the back.
Just leaves the stage.
Just walks off, and they'll really let the song play out. This really comes into effect especially in the back half of the album, or these long songs where they'll just the instrumentation will just kind of take over, and they'll just kind of go wherever. Then JK, after he's done washing his hands from the bathroom, he'll jump back in.
After waiting politely for there to be a slight break in the song, he'll come back in.
Yeah, so this is a great ditty. Extremely catchy.
Yeah, very strong start to the album so far, I'd say. Jump into track number 3 then. Hooked Up.
Hooked Up. This one starts... so far, these 3 songs have had kind of really different starts.
Yeah.
Because you got the didgeridoo on When You Gonna Learn, right? Mm-hmm. You got the violin solo on Too Young to Die. And Hooked Up starts with this, like, really, like, slow, dissenting funk keyboard line that just kind of ends with a wah. And then the song starts.
Yeah. Somehow this one manages to up the funk even more from previous songs.
Yeah, this one is exclusively funk.
This one feels very 90s.
This one does. I think I think it was just because of the synth in particular on this one. I'm not quite sure what it was about it, but it really went for that 90s aesthetic. Mm-hmm. Kind of that paired with this, like, almost dissonant brass going on. Mm-hmm. I don't know, and then of course the record scratch samples.
Yeah, this is where they first come in, and it really threw me for a loop at first. I was like, what is that, a record scratch? And it was like, this is so out of place. But then remembering it's a product of its time and all that, it's like, okay, I mean, I guess I can forgive it, but still, it's just a little out of place there.
I mean, I've listened to enough 90s hip-hop that I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Because that's everywhere.
Well, hip-hop's one thing, but jazz funk is another, I'd say.
That's true. I mean, this was kind of... The 90s were kind of the era where jazz and hip-hop were starting to, like, collide in a big way.
Lawless era.
So, the what?
The lawless era.
The lawless era. Anything was up for grabs. So, like, having... especially nowadays, having kind of jazz in your hip-hop is not uncommon. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of like, I guess, the foot in the water, right? The toe.
Hip-hop?
We'll give you a little record scratch here and there to
to draw on my jazz. It's more likely than you think.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, this one's pretty good. JK doesn't contribute too much to this song.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very musical.
Come on, dance to the music. I think that's like his one line.
Yeah, and this one really made me appreciate the blending of the big band feel with the funk, Just a little bit of vocals sprinkled over top, just kind of add a little bit of flavor.
Yeah, but this kind of brass centric song.
Yeah, I feel like they made the right choice letting the music speak for itself, because there's too much going on to slap some vocals on top of that.
I mean, I would say it's too complex. I mean, the drum loop's like really simple in this one. It's just like a cowbell banging away in the background.
I'm saying if you were to slap vocals on top of everything that's already happening, it'd be a bit much.
Yeah, especially on this brass work.
Yeah,
so I can see why they decided to pull back a bit.
Yeah, very good song though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Then if that's all you're good with, we can move on to track number 4. If I like it, I do it. Yeah, and this one, if this last one was like dance funk, this one's like sexy funk. This is like some baby making music back in the 90s, if you know what I mean. Because it's got that because it's got that I don't know, how do I put it? It's got those like wah-wah electric guitars, this really good bass line. And it's just that paired with like JK kind of going for that more sensual vocal styling over that creamy beat.
See, I got a completely different feeling from this one. I was thinking it felt more like it plays over the end credits of a romantic comedy in the 90s.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the romantic feel to it.
Okay, but there's very big difference between credit music of a romantic comedy and baby making music, as you put it.
Oh, this one's definitely good for sexy. I mean, that's the title of the song. If I like it, I do it.
Fair enough.
And, of course, this one also brings in a little bit of the punchy brass into the chorus as well. And even another record scratch.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point, they're just committed to that.
Yeah, the record scratching over top of the bongo solo.
I actually dug it.
Yeah, it was odd, but it didn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, but I thought this was a pretty nice change of pace. Like I said, a little more sensual, a little more romance focused. I felt,
and
of course, funk and romance always goes well together.
Yeah, and I really liked at the end with that electric guitar solo coming in, with that really heavy filter over top of it. Made it blend really well with the big band portions of the music.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. It's a good way of making. You have a lot of disparate elements sometimes in these songs, but they always manage to meld together very well.
But if you've got nothing left to say, we can jump to
now we can go right to Music of the Mind. Track number 5.
Music of the Mind.
Even starts with a little bit of rain stick to set the mood.
Dude,
feels
this song blew my mind.
Ooh, really? How so?
I don't know. There was something about it. It made it very hard to write about this song. I just couldn't put it into words, because I had a lot of thoughts going through my mind while listening to this. Because I wrote 2 lines, and this isn't a short song. This is like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So I got about 1:30 in, and I just kind of had to stop and sit and listen to it because I couldn't write it anymore. It's just like there's nothing I felt that I could say that would contribute anything to talking about the song. I don't know.
In what way?
It's just, again, it's very hard to put into words.
But like in a positive way or in a negative?
Oh, very positive way.
Okay.
It wasn't like I was seething with anger and couldn't even see the keys through my rage. It's just like I couldn't think of something to say about it.
It's a very almost hypnotic beat.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we should probably mention that this one's all instrumentation.
Yeah.
There's 0 vocals on this one. And it goes for, I'm not sure what kind of vibe is going for in particular. It's like these, like the bass line and the keyboard, of course, over these like very strumming violins, keeping a very danceable energy to it. And like these kind of tingling percussion in the background. So it's like a smooth song.
Yeah, and it draws you right in at the beginning too with that rain stick you were talking about. It sounds like a babbling creek, and then there's something that was mimicking bird song that really was like, wow, that's so odd to hear. You like you can tell it's instruments, but you're like, it sounds like,
you know exactly what it's trying to mimic.
yeah. And then immediately has that synth line soaring over the top. There's a kind of that a really abrupt style change in the middle, but it doesn't feel out of place at all.
It just feels like a continuation, right?
Yeah.
Of what's going on in the song. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a 6-minute jazz interlude.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good jazz interlude.
But it's great. It's got the keyboard solo. It's got a trumpet solo in the middle there. It's just like, ooh, like you can. This is something you want to throw on in the background when you're just doing something.
Yeah, or if you're looking to relax, to close your eyes for a minute.
I'm not sure if I could fall asleep to this song.
You probably wouldn't fall asleep, but it would definitely start putting your mind at ease, at least.
I think it's that hypnotic, like melodic lick that the violins do.
Yeah.
Like over all the kind of craziness with the keyboard and the percussion. It's just like it grounds everything.
Yeah, I don't know if you picked up near the end too. There was very faintly in the background, and no, I did not hear this in my house. There's the sound of a straw being squeaked in a cup. You know what I'm talking about?
that must have been JK. He was getting antsy.
Yeah, he was finishing his slushy and he wanted to sing again.
It's like, sorry guys, I got the large. Just keep going for a couple more minutes.
I'm trying to. I've sucked up all the juice, so now I gotta get the little bits of ice with my straw.
Well, don't worry. He returns on the next song.
Yeah. Jumping to the next song, then, if you're ready for that, Coop.
Yeah, let's do it.
The titular track, "Emergency on Planet Earth."
Track number 6. We're about halfway through the album, or halfway number-wise.
Halfway number-wise, yeah.
Not song-wise. Yeah, titular song. The song does start with kind of like this mellow electric guitar over. It sounds like Morse code.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look up to see what it was, but it definitely sounds like Morse code.
Yeah, I got that feeling as well. They have it again at the end of it,
which I'm assuming is like something to say like you're sending out like a message to space, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing this band, they're probably just like the Morse code probably is just just the words "emergency on planet Earth."
Yeah, and there's nothing online as far as I can see about it, so
I guess JK took that to the grave with him, except he's not dead. So.
Oh, Jesus, I was gonna say.
No, he's actually released an album only like 2 years ago. So
is Jamiroquai still together or no?
Like, I mean, there's not the same amount of people on the band like there was originally.
So is it JK's Jamiroquai?
I mean, JK was always kind of the center of the Jamiroquai. As long as there's JK, there's Jamiroquai.
Just like Jeff Lynne and ELO.
Kind of. But apparently their newest album is pretty good. I was looking at the Jamiroquai subreddit, and they said some of them thought that it was better than this starting album.
Wow.
So obviously,
might have to give that a listen then.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's called, of course, because it's Jamiroquai. It's called what? Automaton or Automaton.
Okay.
Like the machine, because machines, virtual insanity, Earth. But yeah, back to this song. This one pretty much bumps off pretty soon with the bass and JK returning to the vocals after a slight stint away. And this one definitely goes for kind of a spacey, futuristic sound. Overall, which I guess makes sense. They're trying to like go for that kind of space vibe.
Yeah, and I don't know. The underlying music is really good, but I felt like it was just very slightly simplified to draw a bit more attention to the lyrics. It's not by much. It's just a little bit because it's still so dense. There's so much going on. But I got the feeling that it was just turned back just a little bit to kind of really put more emphasis on the lyrics for this one.
Yeah, which as far as I can tell, the lyrics kind of boil down to what? Protect the Earth, and kind of asking for help to the outer reaches of space.
Yeah, and it was what is it? There was the line white gets 2, black gets 5, so it's also calling out injustice.
Kind of the racism aspect as well.
Yeah,
which I mean they've kind of had that at their base I mean, the reason they are called Jamiroquai, right, is because the Iroquois Indians.
Mhm.
So they've always had that kind of interest in, oppressed peoples as well as like the nature aspects of the Native Americans. I guess
Yeah.
you can kind of get that from their use of didgeridoo and rain sticks,
Yeah.
kind of traditional Aborigines instruments.
Yeah. I kind of wish there was another verse on this song. It feels a bit cut short, in my opinion.
Yeah, it feels like
there's
it doesn't quite have enough time in the oven to be like the title track.
yeah, for being the title track, I was like, really, that was it? Because it's only a 4 minute 5 song, right? 4 minutes,
Which is pretty
6.
short for this album.
Yeah, and there's only like 2 minutes of it that JK is singing during, and during those 2 minutes, it's not like he's singing for a solid 2 minutes, you know.
Right.
The last 2 minutes of the song are just the instruments playing it out, and I'm like, well, why aren't you? I feel like the title song, this is the time to do all the stuff, you know. So,
But I guess not.
yeah.
Maybe just like the title. They wanted to put that on the album.
yeah. I mean, it's a good title, so
It is a good title.
it's
So it's a good song, but
yeah. It's not taking away from it at all. It just felt lacking for the title song.
like, it could have used a little something extra.
Yeah.
Could have used just more record scratches. This one didn't have any.
Don't worry, they're coming.
Well, if that's it, we can always move on to track number 7. Whatever it is, I just can't stop. So I love some of these track titles. It's just like JK mumbling to himself sentences.
This one, the bass really just blows me away how much they continue to. It's just bass at the front always, and this one actually brings the vocals up a bit to a closer second. I feel.
I think that's just because they're so. It's a little more stripped back in terms of like, not like the violins or like too much fancy guitar work.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's bass and vocals, with like these like little keyboard flourishes on them.
And this one had a lot more singing than the previous one. It's like, well, this one is the same length as the previous song. Why didn't you sing this much in the title song? So
this definitely one. It gives me like a Toe Jam and Earl vibe. This one.
What is that?
It's just a game back from the 90s that was like super like funk influenced.
Okay.
It's got that little like slap bass vibe to it, you know. Yeah, but overall, this song's a little more stripped back.
Yeah.
Focuses on the bass, but it doesn't really build to anything too substantial. Like it doesn't like add in like new instruments as the song goes on.
No, and it's got a way more. I noticed that it's got a way more stripped back percussion section, which has been pretty prominent throughout the whole album up to this point. It kind of opts for a bit more. There's a lot of electric guitar in this one, which hasn't really been the case for any other song.
Yeah, which I think was probably purposeful. Like it just it's meant to be.
And
this,
it's a good song, but listening to it in this album format, I kind of feel like it slightly undermines Emergency on Planet Earth.
What do you mean?
Well, like Emergency on Planet Earth is like they're trying to get across this message of injustice and we need to protect the Earth, but they don't really sing. And then this one comes in and it's kind of just singing a whole lot about nothing, you know?
Well, I think they try to do a good mix of like the environmentally conscious songs and then just like straight up dance songs.
I mean, I agree, but it just felt like it was like, well, why'd you write so much gibberish as opposed to
about one to dance?
Yeah. So
I guess JK just, since it was already so stripped back with the bass, you had to have vocals to fill it in.
That's a good point. Yeah, it would probably feel very naked without the vocals.
So it kind of needed it, even if he didn't have much to say over it.
Yeah.
But
jump into track number 8 then, if you're ready, Coop.
Yeah, let's do it. Track number 8, Blow Your Mind. These next two, they're gonna let it ride it out. These next two songs are basically like half the album.
Yeah, I mean, what we're on track 8. We're on the last 3 songs. We've only got about half an hour left of the album to talk about.
Yeah, this is where the jazz really lets the songs go long.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in these songs.
Yeah, this one's like 8:53 or something like that, I think.
Then the next one's 10 minutes.
Yeah. But what is it? There's that bass modulation right from the get-go.
Oh yeah.
that gives it a completely different vibe from previous songs, but they're not changing style at all. You know, it's still kind of the very same style of funk bass that they've been playing the whole time. It's just that that filter changes the sound completely.
Right. It's a subtle change, but it's enough to like that you notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And this song's definitely the return of sensual JK.
Yeah.
I mean, if you blow your mind, it's not referring to making you really smart with fun facts. This is JK blowing your mind.
Did you know that the blue whale is the largest mammal to have ever lived?
To do what? You kind of cut out there.
Oh, did you know that the blue whale is the largest animal to have ever lived?
To ever live?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I did not know that.
Even
my mind
larger
has been
than any of the dinosaurs.
Wow. Good for the blue whale. I hope we still have those in the future.
Well, if Star Trek is anything to tell us, they're going to go extinct.
Well, but we'll bring it back.
From
using
the past.
time travel
Yeah.
from the past. Yeah, but this song's got these like badadoos by like this kind of vocal scatting by JK that I like. And the song's also got this really punchy brass. Like more so than the other songs.
Yeah, I'd never heard anything like this before. The singing along with the muted trumpet duet it was a duet with a trumpet. It starts at like 340. Never heard anything like that before. It was amazing. I loved it.
It's almost doing like a call and response.
Well, not even, because they were duetting throughout.
Oh, that's two. But early on the song, they're like at like the 2:30 mark.
Oh yeah.
JK sings a little, and then later like they do the duet thing. But yeah, it works really well.
I don't think I really picked up on it until the duet started, but it crazy. I'd never, and it matched so perfectly too. Just because
JK's like a human muted trumpet, so like. And then the only thing I can say is the detriment to the song is maybe it goes on a little long. Like it does slow down in the middle with like a bit of a keyboard type solo thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the song just kind of that kind of keyboard solo thing kind of just lasts the 4 minutes of the song, just kind of mellowy playing itself out.
Yeah, I see. The breakdown you're talking about, like this whole album, I have been like, wow, this is feeling very on the cusp of being funk and jazz, and then it hit that breakdown. I'm like, this is 100% just a straight
funk
jazz,
and jazz.
straight jazz breakdown. You know, that synth coming in. You're right. Initially I thought it was a vocoder. I was like, what the heck? Why are they doing that? But it is just very high synth, and it sounded a lot better once it started toning itself down with the piano main line in the background. I didn't really feel like the song started overstaying its welcome until about the last 45 seconds.
I don't think it needed to shave too much off, but just like a little bit.
And if I wasn't just sitting here listening to it, if I was doing something else, it would be completely fine, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is great background music, especially this song.
Yeah.
I
will say they do have the fade out, which kind of felt weird that none of the other songs in this album have had a fade out, and then they're just like, yeah, we'll slap one on the 8-minute song. We don't have an end.
I guess they just couldn't figure out how to end the jazz session.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll fade out the keyboard. No, they'll get the job done. But at that point, it kind of, with the 8-minute song and just kind of fading out, it kind of felt earned.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it really blew my mind. Well, I guess it did with the muted trumpet duet, but other than that.
Yeah, but to move on, if you want to move on to an even longer song, we can move on to track number 9, Revolution, 1993. So as I'm sure the title kind of suggests, this is like the last kind of more politically minded song about revolution in the 1993. And this one has like again, come back with this really kind of farty synth, like it's like really low and kind of rumbles. And this is the only song on the album that has vocals besides JK's. It's kind of like these call and response female vocals that are always echoing what JK says.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It kind of adds to the character of the song. Like JK's like leading a female army or something.
Yeah, and this one, again, not commenting on the vocals. This one changes bass style once again. This one really electronic. kind of
Very
out of nowhere.
electronic bass.
Yeah, but it still works with that big band sound, surprisingly.
Yeah, especially when you had that the low synth with the brass playing over, you're like, okay, this works.
Yeah.
And even has another jazz flute solo, which I can't get enough of.
Oh yeah, this solo though, holy crap! That kind of harder flute noise, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, where it kind of cuts up when it goes up.
Yeah, what is it? I don't know how to describe it because there's traditional flute, which is just a note, but then there's the hard flute where it's like a bit more breathy, but it's got much more sharpness to it. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that was nice. I kind of wish they did more of that. It felt really nice along with the style.
Yeah, the jazz flute only shows up a little bit on this album, but I think they make really good use when it does show up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then I do like there's a part where like this kind of spacey synth in the brass are like kind of paired with these female O's. With like the They're going like that. I really dig that part of the song as well.
Yeah, about this point, I started getting a bit. This song is good, but I feel like it kind of suffers from the length.
I mean, it's got a lot of interesting things in it, like the flute solo, trumpet solo, female vocals, all the keyboard stuff.
Really spaced out though. Like new things don't really come in as quickly as in previous songs, making it feel a bit more drawn out. And part of the issue lies with stuff not being changed up for when JK cuts out. So like something will come in when JK starts singing for some reason, and then he stops singing, and nothing changes until he starts singing again. So it feels very samey. Now, if he were to stop singing and then something new would come in, it would put a bit of kick of life into it, I feel.
Yeah, this feels like a really great like 5-minute song stretched out to a not as great like 10-minute song.
Yeah, and the bass line, at least in like the middle section or the longest section, is very short. It's only like 2 bars long. So that super short bass line then feels extremely repetitive because it is repeated so many times over the course of like 6 minutes in the middle of the song. Along with not much new stuff coming in, it just starts to feel very kind of bogged down. Like they just took a short song and stretched it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they gave this one the length particularly. It's not like the album needed the length.
Yeah.
It's already a decent sized album. Yeah, I'm kind of interested as to why this one's so particularly long, but I mean, it's not a bad song. Like,
no,
it's not like a mind-numbing 10 minutes. It just feels like it didn't need to be this long.
Yeah, I mean the trumpet solo that comes in right near the end is really nice and a breath of fresh air, but it's just like there's so many breaks in the middle that you could kind of just cut, and take about 4 minutes off the runtime.
Yeah, I think so. But I guess they didn't, so we got what we got. So I think it brought it down a little bit, but
jump into track number 10 then, if you're ready.
Not the last track on the album. We got track number 10. Is it Did You Now?
Did You Now?
Did You Now? And yes, that is a reference to our old friend the Didgeridoo.
And you know what? I didn't think they'd do it, but by God, the madman did it. Back to where we started, didgeridoo. And not just that, it is only didgeridoo.
2.5 minutes of didgeridoo. Oh, there's like a little bit of bass underneath this didgeridoo.
Very little bit of funk bass sneaking in. Otherwise,
this was
just didgeridoo.
Yeah, this was number 1 in the UK. This album.
Are you? Oh, I thought you were going to say the song.
No, not the song.
Way.
But an album with a song dedicated to nothing but the didgeridoo.
Yeah.
We live in an amazing time. And I mean, it's a... What were you saying, Sam?
I was just going to say, it's a nice little bit of didgeridoo to cleanse the palate. If didgeridoo could cleanse the palate, which it doesn't.
It really doesn't. It's like the... It's like trying to cleanse your palate with like mustard.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's mustard. That's a lot of it.
Yeah. You didn't want a ice cold glass of mustard? I even put extra ice in it for you.
Ooh, it's nice and chilled.
Yeah.
Finally, can have that room temperature mustard.
And after you finish your mustard drink, here's a mustard popsicle.
Finally. To get that mustard taste out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, yeah, it's a 2.5 minute song of mostly didgeridoo right on top of like a bass and a simple drum loop. So not really a song. It's
No.
more of like a concept that's played out.
I feel like this is just kind of them jamming in the studio after the end while JK is taking his last smoke break, you know?
damn, damn it, we hired this didgeridoo player for an hour of time. We're going to use.
He's only played 45 minutes. Get him to just make something up.
Just, yeah, so I'm not sure if this makes quite the compelling case that didgeridoo should enter the pop music's mainstream.
At least not as the primary
But,
instrument.
We can't say they didn't try.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't have too much to say on this song.
No, that's I don't have anything else to. It's literally just the same lick played over and over again. So.
At least this one wasn't the 10-minute song.
Oh God, can you imagine?
10 minutes of didgeridoo. But yeah, I think that's the last song number 10.
Yeah.
Now, if you do listen to this on Spotify, which me and Sam did, this is actually the remastered edition. Actually comes with little remixes and some extended cuts and some alternative plays of the album. And I actually went and listened through them. And if you like this album, I think it's worth a listen.
Now, you should put the disclaimer. How long are all these extra little tidbits?
The whole album, like just these 10 songs, it's like 50-ish minutes. With the extra bits, it's like the whole thing's like 2 hours. So it's a bit of time. But if you do have the time, it's worth it just because there's some live performances and JK brings the energy. There's some mixes that I think are pretty good on here. And there's even some songs that didn't make it on the album from some live showings.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to check out anything, I'd recommend the acoustic version of If I Like It, I Do It, which I think is actually better than the album version. Just JK's vocals over a purely, mostly acoustic song is quite delightful. And not something that we really found on the original album.
I might have to give that a listen then. I didn't listen to those since I've been watching anime.
There's like an hour and 15 minutes of extra features.
I've been watching anime instead of doing the only job I have. So
yeah, but just a little heads up there.
So Cooper, if you had to pick a favorite and least favorite on this album, what would they be?
If I had to pick favorite, I'd probably either go with Too Young to Die or When You Gonna Learn, the first 2 tracks on the album. If you put a gun to my head, I'd probably choose Too Young to Die. It's funky. It's got the brass. It's got the violin. The chorus is killer with JK's vocal stylings. It's catchy as heck. And it's got the Jamiroquai trademark of having really dark lyrics over something that is not dark at all.
Yeah.
So it's a really complete package song. In terms of like least favorite song, it's actually kind of hard on this album.
Yeah, it really
I'm going to count out Digin' Out.
Yeah.
That doesn't really even count as like a song. It's just a jam section.
Yeah, that if you had to pick one though, that'd probably be it.
It'd be it. But if I had to, maybe Whatever It Is, I Just Can't Stop. I wasn't as big of a fan as Hooked Up either, but I don't know. Whatever It Is, I Just Can't Stop. It was just just vocals over bass, and it's great bass and great vocals, considering how much more the rest of the album gives. It was kind of a step back, I felt.
Yeah. For me, I think favorite is gonna have to be Music of the Mind.
The pure instrumental.
That one, I really, really like. I will say the first 3 songs are fought really hard to be first, but Music of the Mind is, I think, just kind of takes it above. Kind of just took the words out of my mouth, As for least favorite, I think I'm gonna have to go with Revolution 1993. It's not a least favorite by much. It's just like all these songs are very, very, very good. I'd still listen to this whole album again many times over before I listen to some of the previous albums we listened to. But just the drawn out feeling of the song, it felt like one of their 4-minute songs that they took and just stretched out. It just kind of took me out of it a little bit. While there are some amazing solos in there and all that, just I feel like it's not necessarily the weakest song on the album, but it definitely suffered from that longer runtime.
It suffered from its length.
Yeah.
which you know all about, right, Sam?
Oh yeah. Um,
No, but yeah. So and now we could get on to our final album.
yeah.
And,
So since we didn't do it last week, I will quickly go over the rating system text. We got a standard 1 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 system. Top of the top is listen to this album before you die. If not, probably get sent to hell. Bottom of the pile is Scrapyard. Basically avoid at all costs, and you'll probably add a couple extra years to your life.
yeah, this Scrapyard is something that you will actively lose ears listening to.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we'll have to worry about Scrapyard on this one.
Oh no. So what did you think, Cooper?
See, I'm actually a little bit conflicted because I'm thinking if to really come down to it, it's like a high, like new, like as high as you can get before it becomes a showroom. Just because, like I said, it does have some of the longer songs drag on, which I think drag the album down just a bit, and there are a couple songs where I think they weren't as fleshed out as possible, but it's dang near just it's approaching like legendary levels of like jazz funk. Mm-hmm. I can tell Jamiroquai came out swinging with this album.
Yeah, it's very rare that a brand new band, their first album, is this good.
Not just this good, but also like so much its own.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's even nowadays, there's not too much that sounds like Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
To have such a solid voice right off the bat is a rarity. So like I said, if you catch me, depending on my mood, I could see myself putting this in a showroom, but I'd say it's like as high of a like new as possible.
Yeah. Sorry for those barking in the background. My dog must have seen a squirrel. And I think I'm going to have to say, I think I was in the mood, because if this is an example of a showroom, I don't know what is.
Sam's first showroom. Here we go.
No, what? Don't you remember?
Any ELO, but
we listened to Time. That was as high as you can get. I don't think I'm ever going to relate anything higher than Time. Come on.
When I think of you and music, ELO is like outside of music. It's like its own stratosphere kind of thing.
Yeah, but to be fair, I did put Showroom plus for Time.
That's true.
But I would say this is probably a low showroom, medium rare. Medium well showroom, with the rarer it being, the better it is, because I like my steaks rare. If you like them well done, then get out of here. But it's very, very strong throughout, constantly changing it up, but still keeping that same kind of style. The front man not wanting to constantly shove himself into the limelight the whole time. There were, a couple of songs just really let it breathe. And overall, just a very, very pleasant experience. And this is probably going to be on my my listening list for quite a while now.
Oh yeah, Jamiroquai. Honestly, I'm surprised to myself that I haven't gotten to them sooner.
Yeah,
this is some delightful music.
Mm-hmm. Even after because you added Virtual Insanity to one of our playlists when we were driving in Canada, and we listened to that quite a few times.
Yes, and this album doesn't even have some of Jamiroquai's best songs on it.
Yeah, which I think I'm gonna have to dive into that, because if this isn't some of their best work, that's crazy.
Well, like I said, I was looking at their subreddit where they have their diehard fans, and a lot of the times this was their first album was usually only like at the most like their top 4.
Wow. Well, how many have they released?
They've released 8 albums.
Okay, I mean that's still pretty good, I'd say.
Oh yeah, but like this, like they've got the consistency. Basically, like at least 3 of their albums is better than this one.
Yeah,
and this is a pretty great album.
Yeah, it is. So. But, might not be for me, so we'll see. Maybe this one just vibed with me for some reason.
That's true. Some albums go for different directions, but as far as vibing, you'll vibe with this album. This album will make you smile.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't listened to it, give it a listen. Don't sit down and review it like we did. Listen to it while you're riding your bike or while you're doing some work. It's very nice background music. Just, it shouldn't be calm enough to put you to sleep, but, it might.
I mean, it's relaxing, but it's energetic. It's very versatile.
Yeah,
and I highly recommend it to anybody out there that likes jazz and funk, R&B, mm-hmm. or even if you have interest in modern day hip hop. Like I said, a lot of modern day hip hop influences stem from Jamiroquai. So this is a little bit of a granddaddy of some modern sensibilities.
Yeah. Well, that is the end of Emergency on Planet Earth by Jamiroquai. Jumping over then to the Spare Tire. Pardon me.
Spare Tire.
And this is just our little section where we talk about anything else we've been listening to this week, any earworms we've got, or anything we've discovered. You got anything?
Yeah. So actually, so besides Jamiroquai's 2-hour full remaster of this album, the two big albums I listened to this week were the new Kanye West album, Jesus is King, which he actually finally released after saying he was going to release it like 3 different times, and it was not very good.
That's what I've been seeing on Reddit. Everybody's pretty pissed.
It was kind of poorly mixed, and it was like a 27-minute long album, so pretty short too. But knowing, Kanye was very mean and clean on this album. There's a song where its only lyrics are, and I kid you not, "Closed on Sunday, but you're my Chick-fil-A," which may be the corniest Kanye has ever gone.
Wow. And I saw a bunch of people complaining how hard he's leaned into religion as well.
Leaned into what?
Religion.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a Christian album through and through. It's called Jesus and King, which not that means it has to be a bad rap album. Like Chance the Rapper, his Christian album Coloring Books is a banger. It's great. I love it. Kanye did not make a banger Christian rap album on this one, but apparently he's remixing it and remastering it. So a lot of my problems stemmed from the fact that it was just very poorly mixed. So
how long has it been since he released his last?
I mean, his last album was only released like a year ago.
Okay.
So it's been pretty recent. So I mean, he also announced before this one even came out that he was also going to release a Christmas album before the end of the year. So hopefully that actually doesn't happen, because I think he needs to take a little more time with this project. So he might be stretching himself a bit thin.
Write some good music. To quote Hank Hill, "You're not making rock and roll any better. You're just making Christianity worse."
Yeah, this wasn't his best album by a long shot. But if you want to listen to a good new album, listen to Rex Orange County's new album, Pony.
I saw that just came out.
You might remember that we reviewed him just a little bit ago, and I was thoroughly impressed with his new project. I think he really matured as an artist. The production on this album was great. It went to some surprising places, especially compared to his last album, and it was an extremely enjoyable listen. And I thought his vocals were better too, which was our major complaint on his Apricot Princess. So I've listened through it a couple times actually, and I think it's well worth a listen. Rex has grown as an artist. Our little boy's all grown up.
We just reviewed him.
Oh yeah, and then what are your spare tires, Sam?
Well, as I said last week, I'd been catching up on a bunch of podcasts, so my Discover Weekly has been completely screwed up just from only listening to the review albums. So I took a week and listened to just kind of stuff that I liked, that I had saved, to kind of get my recommendations back in order, so to say, so I could discover more. So I listened to quite a lot of Miracle Musical Hawaii Part 2.
Which is now reviewed previously.
Yeah, and I haven't really stopped listening to it since we reviewed it. And then, what is it? ELO released a second single for their new album, From Out of Nowhere.
Ooh, when's the expected drop date of that album?
That is going to be November 11th, so it's coming up fast.
Ooh,
and I'm excited. A Thursday, so I'm going to say this from the get-go, and we kind of talked about this before. We're not going to review it that Sunday, but the next Sunday we'll probably review it. Yeah,
we have to, out of principle.
Yeah, because it's a brand. First of all, I lived and breathed ELO until Cooper was like, "Hey, you should probably listen to some other music, man."
It's not a joke.
This is not healthy. Because I was listening to I was listening to probably at least 3 entire albums a day.
Just ELO.
While I was doing homework. Yeah, that's literally, I was just listening to like Secret Messages and then like Discovery, and then I would probably bump into something else as I was finishing up doing homework. But I like to think
our friendship truly began once you felt comfortable enough around me to show me the Whale song.
Hey, that's still a great song.
It's pretty great.
It's on Out of the Blue. It's got to be a good song if it's on Out of the Blue. But this is track number 9 that they just released, Time of Our Life, and it's not going to be bop, but it's going to be a close second. I think my hopes for this album are not high personally.
Well, hopefully they can bring it together.
First of all, From Out of Nowhere, which I kind of talked about last week, wasn't super. It's all right, it's an okay song, but it is the title song, and usually that's pretty strong for Yellow. At least Jeff Lynne's Yellow. And this one is a bit weaker, and they have it first on the album, which I was like, okay,
it's the opening track.
It's kind of a weak start. And then this is track number 9, Time of Our Life, that just came out, and I've only listened to it once, fair enough, but I couldn't bring myself to listen to it again.
Oh, yeah. That's not a.
Let me just read you the opening lyrics to this, if I can find them. I'm not sure anybody's posted them yet. Here they are. It was just. It didn't feel like an ELO song, So the opening is, went down to London town to play our music at the football ground. I can't believe this is going down, I said to my friend Phil. 60,000 rocking out and singing loud, I had to shout. And best of all, they seemed so happy just being there. I was like, what the heck is this crap?
Is he just talking about his Sunday?
Yeah, I was like, this is not, what is this?
So Grandpa, how was your weekend? Well, me and Phil went down to, you remember Phil from church? We went down to the football game, and it was...
I was wearing an onion on my belt, which was the style of the time. But then, of course, they do. I didn't catch this on my first listen. They do that. He loves doing the little references to the songs of Eeyore. So they reference Telephone Line, and they do the little telephone line thing from Telephone Line. But it's pretty short too, because it's got verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, chorus. That's it. It was just
right.
There was. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of giving the review of the song now, but we'll have to wait till see it comes out. But
well, if you can't handle them at their balance of power, you don't deserve them at their right.
At their what? Sorry, you cut out.
I said if you can't handle them at their balance of power, you don't deserve them at their out of the blue.
I would say out of their time, but
out of time.
Yeah.
But I mean, Rain or Shine, we're gonna listen to this album. So
yeah, I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. I'm telling myself, when I first listened to Alone in the Universe, I was not a fan. I did not like it. And now I would say it's probably like number 2 for me. Maybe 3. It's not 1. Number 1 is Time. Number 1's always going to be Time. But just thinking back to how much I disliked it when I first listened to it, because what is it? Dirty to the Bone. He has some backup singers come in. I'm like, this isn't ELO. But this one isn't like a style change or anything. It's just kind of not good writing. So that makes me a bit more worried. And also doing this podcast with you, I like to think anyway, I'm a bit more experienced now with reviewing music. So I'm
a little more critical eye.
I'm really hoping I'm wrong. I really want this album to be good, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Sometimes songs sound better in context with the album.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But we'll see.
I've gone from being absolutely psyched for this to
a little worried.
I'm a little bit worried. It's not going to be bop. I can say that outright. Nothing's ever going to compare to bop. And for those of you out there who don't know what I'm talking about ELO Balance of Power, which was not a good album. Although I will say, Calling America. Amazing song.
Calling America, good song. The rest, not so much.
Just imagine, what is it? It's like a 45-minute album, and aside from Calling America, the whole thing sounds the same.
And that same is not good.
All just synth.
But
so.
But we'll listen to it when it comes out.
We'll see. So it's probably a bit more than you wanted to hear for the spare tire, but
hey, you got it.
I've been thinking about this song quite a lot since it came out. So.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So that means that's the end of the episode. Now that we're done with the spare tire.
Yeah.
You have anything more to say, Sam?
Other than thank you all for listening. If you've got any suggestions, although we're going to be going through some stuff here for a little bit. Although we got how many weekends do we have left till end of the year? Because I can't imagine we're going to be doing every weekend.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just about 7.
Yeah, and we probably won't be doing all those. So we probably, maybe 5 is a conservative estimate, I'd say.
I'd say so.
Yeah, and then excluding the Christmas show that we got planned as well.
So, yeah, leave those suggestions in the suggestion box, and we'll get to reviewing them.
And if you're listening to this on Twitch and you like what you hear, you can always go over to the YouTube and check out all of our past broadcasts. And if you're listening on YouTube and like what you hear and want to be part of our little pre-conversation before we start, or you want to shoot crap with each other in the chat while we're doing this and make fun of us, you can head over onto twitch.tv/audio_shop and watch us live there 8 p.m. on Sundays, unless Cooper decides he wants to play video games.
Yes, well, that was by accident. And we'll keep, and if we are late, we'll keep you updated at AudioShop14 on Twitter. So that's where we'll tell you what we'll be reviewing next and at what time of day. So hit us up there.
Yeah, you can see what we're going to be listening to, listen to it, and then compare your music taste to our superior music taste.
And hopefully you guys all have a spooky and safe Halloween coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be November in the next one.
Yeah, 2019's almost over, Sam. We're almost at the end of a decade.
I don't like that.
Time keeps on moving.
I want to get off Mr. Bones' Wild Ride.
That's the only ride you get.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening.
Yeah, and hope to join us again next week.
See you later, shoppies.
Don't get too spooked this Thursday.
3 spoopy, 5 me.
All right, see you guys.